Well, 2021 is almost coming to an end. And before we go ahead and jump off to the new year of 2022, we want to go ahead and celebrate the ending of the year with the enormous amount of list of movies to talk about that we have talked about throughout this entire year. There are so many out there that I haven't even gotten to talk about that is a part of this video. So, anyways, everybody, how's everyone doing? I'm Awesome Joe. Thank you guys so much for taking in the time of your day to watching another episode of Awesome Joe's Play Back-to-Back Movie Reviews. And today we're going to be talking about top 10 movies of 2021. Not only are we going to be talking about the top 10 awesome movies of this year, we're going to be talking about the top 10 worst movies of this year, and including an additional top 10 movies that I am so excited for. My anticipations for 2022. I am really excited to getting to talking about this amongst all of you wonderful viewers out there. I don't want to take up anybody else's too much of their time, so let's go ahead and get started here, everyone. We're going to start off with the top 10 worst movies of 2021 now. So coming in at number 10, it's going to go ahead and be The Eternals. This movie, flat out straight, was going to be at my top 10 worst list. I really didn't find it as exciting as I would have wanted it to be. It's not to where I wanted it to be just another Marvel film. I wanted it to be something different, something special. It tried to do that, but it really didn't reach up to my expectations. There was a lot of parts of the movie that it really didn't satisfy me to say that this is an excellent movie altogether. So, which is why it reaches to the very top, to the top 10, number 10 spot of my worst movies of 2021. Now let's go ahead and jump on to number 9. This one just recently came out. I wasn't really that excited about it, nor did I even want one. But here it is, The Matrix Resurrections. This one just recently came out, and it really put me in a massive disappointment, which I knew flat out straight that this was going to be on the list. I had without a doubt, and I really wanted it to succeed. I really did love the original trilogy, and I would have loved for this to be a great addition to the series, but unfortunately it did not, and which is why it reaches up to the list at number 9. So now let's go ahead and jump off to number 8. Now this one, I really did not want it on the list, but there was a lot about it that really did not keep me in a position of wanting to liking it. Mortal Kombat. I love the original 95 film. I even liked Mortal Kombat Annihilation compared to this one. This one did not feel like a Mortal Kombat film that was deserved to be made. You know, there's a lot of aspects to it that is in relations to the game, yes, but I feel like it was really misused. I really do feel like that this movie should have been much more to where it became its own story rather than having it being fan service. So which is why I put it into the top 10 worst movies on my list. It's just not one that keeps me satisfied, nor does it keep me excited for if there were to be a sequel to another chapter of this Mortal Kombat series of movies. But unfortunately, I don't really see a future for it, which is why it reaches up to my list. Now we're going to go ahead and jump off to the next movie, which is number 7. First film was just so interesting. I don't know, maybe it was because I was just a child and enjoying getting to seeing NBA's famous basketball star Michael Jordan in the same film with the very famous Warner Brothers character Bugs Bunny and all of the other Looney Tunes. But here, me having to being such a grown man now, waiting for this long-awaited sequel for almost 30 years, here it is. We got to see it. Did I like it? There were some parts of it I did like, but there's a lot of it too that really put me at the bottom of not really even liking this movie at all. I really did want to like this movie, but I didn't even know who LeBron James was. I'm not really a big basketball fan. I don't watch the game. I would love to watch the game and understand it, but when it comes to the movie alone, I just didn't like it, and I just don't feel like that this was a movie that I could say was a long-awaited sequel compared to the first film. The first film alone should have been as just its own movie altogether, not really having to expanding it as its own franchise. So, which is why I put it on the list. Now, let's go ahead and jump off to number 6. I do find that this franchise takes itself a little too far. It has stretched itself way too much to now it's just already ripping itself into shreds. F9 The Fast Saga is a movie that I can say it just I just think it should have ended a long time ago, ever since Fast 5 or even up to Fast 7. It's just stretched itself way too much, and there's even 2 more movies in development right now that is back to back that is going to be ending this franchise finally after already 20 years. I have nothing against it. It's just that I feel like this is a little too much off of this world. It really doesn't feel realistic. It doesn't really feel down to earth. It just feels like something that is just. It's just the impossible being the impossible. Let's just leave it at that, which is why it reaches my list. And honestly, am I excited to get into seeing these other movies? I'll still go out and watch them, but it's not something I'm looking forward to. And I'm really hoping that that would be just it with the franchise after all that, and not having a reunion cast of a reunion movie of a retelling storyline. So that's why it reaches the list. I just don't like long, stretched out, unnecessary franchise movies, which is what Fast 9 gave me. So let's go ahead and jump off to the next one. Venom: Let There Be Carnage. Okay, we wanted this movie to happen. We thought this was going to be an excellent movie. Getting to finally seeing Venom and Carnage for the first time ever on the big screen clashing against each other. Only just one time, which is the final fight. And even this movie all alone was just an episodic film. It really had nothing to do with its own universe. Not that I'm saying that it's doing what I asked of it to do, which is become its own movie. Yes, I understand that. But there was just nothing that was needed in this movie that was done. You had Woody Harrelson, which was the perfect casting choice to play Carnage, and yet you did nothing with him. Nothing at all. And the story was very low. It was very cheap. I didn't like any of the characters or their developments, nor even the story. There wasn't even a story. It just felt so episodic. I didn't like it. It really did nothing for me. It was nowhere of reaching my awesome list, but here it's where it just reaches at the worst list. And is it something that I would want to watch again? Possibly, maybe, but as of now, it's not really something I'm looking forward to. Disney has a habit of reinventing their movies off of their theme parks, their theme rides from their theme parks. And, they did it with Pirates of the Caribbean. They did it with A Haunted Mansion. And now here they are doing it with the Jungle Cruise. And not only with just Jungle Cruise itself alone, but you are, again, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I mean, I have nothing against him, but I just feel like you are overusing him. You see him in almost every single movie. I'm already getting overwhelmed by him, and I really just feel like, there's other stars out there. Let's go ahead and give others a chance to be a star of those movies as well, too. Just quit starring Dwayne Johnson. I know he's a very popular actor. I know a lot of people love him, and like I said, I have nothing against the guy. I just want other people to have the opportunity to seize the spotlight. I just don't want it just to him. He's been in the spotlight for already going to be 20 years now. I mean, it's just an insane thing going on right now when it comes to him. But like I said, nothing against him. But when it comes to the movie alone, it was just too much of a wannabe Pirates of the Caribbean mixed in with The Mummy. And I just feel like all other movies that are on this list, it was never its own film. It was never really a movie that could say that I left the theater saying, I enjoyed it very much, and I would want to go and see it again. Really, honestly, it's on Disney Plus right now, and not have I ever glimpsed at watching it just one time. It was really a terrible experience for me, and I hate the fact that all the sets are not even crew made. It's all CGI. It's all, it's all computer graphics, everything like that. And it really throws me out of the film because it all just looks fake. Everything is just green screen. It's very much Star Wars prequels all over again. So, which is why it reaches my worst top 10 list. This one I was really not excited about at all, but I went ahead and watched it. And I didn't even do a review off of it. It was really that bad because it was just something I really did not want to talk about at all, which is Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City. Oh my gosh, I didn't even like the set of films of the other Resident Evil with Milla Jovovich. I really didn't like them. Do I own them? Yes, I do. Have I watched them more than once? Yes, I have. But it's not a set of series movies that I'd really care about. I never even played the video game. I never really cared about the story. I just wanted to see the action, and this one really did not do it for me. It was a complete disaster, something that I know for sure I never want to experience again. It was just a terrible time. It's really hard when having to go out watching terrible movies and not really, and just having to wasting your time and your money for. I really do wish that the people that go off and making these movies, instead of focusing on how much money they would feel like they'd be making off of it, try to make a story, try to make something more interesting, try to get people to go into the theaters and say, hey, you know what? That wasn't really that bad. Another movie that I went ahead and watched, and I didn't even care to do a review about because it was so bad. Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins. It's just stupid. It was so stupid. I watched it. It was bad. Not worth my time. Not worth my time of watching the movie. Not worth my time of even talking about it. Not even worth my time even talking about it right now. It was so terrible. You think that even though the movie has the entitlement of G.I. Joe on it, the branding name, you would think that it would lure audiences to go and watching this. And the fact of Snake Eyes looking like a superhero, knowing that we are living in a world of where superhero movies are the most popular thing to go off to the theaters and watch. But unfortunately, not for this one. It was just a terrible experience. And I know that it's a rebooted version, giving us an extended universe of the G.I. Joe brand, giving us something new and different. Did I like it? Of course not. Terrible. Bad. Never again will I ever watch another G.I. Joe movie. Just gone off. And then finally at number 1, I cannot believe that I'm saying this, but yes, it is an MCU movie, Black Widow. A movie that a lot of MCU fans were begging for to happen, and now that it was here, it was one of the most terrible MCU movies ever for me. It was just so bad. I wasn't asking for it. I believe that, yes, Scarlett Johansson is an incredibly attractive, beautiful woman, but is she a good actress in my book? I don't think so. She's always someone who irritated me. Like I said, she's a very beautiful woman, but I don't find that her acting capabilities really caught me to where I could say this woman actually can act. And for me, I don't think that she does. And her getting her own movie, it was just not the best idea that Marvel could have done. If anything, if they would have, I would have preferred Hawkeye to be an MCU film rather than Black Widow, and Black Widow being a Disney Plus original series instead. That way, it just, there's some good aspects to the film, yes, but throughout the entire film, all I can think of to myself is, what a terrible movie. So now that we went ahead and talked about my top 10 worst movies of 2021, now let's go ahead and jump off to, before we get to talking about the top 10 awesome movies of 2021, let's go ahead and do a top 10 anticipated movies of 2022. The movies that I feel very excited for coming up in our next new year. The long-awaited, after a decade of waiting, even more than a decade of waiting, Avatar 2. There's not really a title announced for it just yet, but we have been waiting for this. It has been hold off for several years already, and now that it's finally coming out this year, hopefully, I'm pretty sure it's going to be held back again. Crossing my fingers, because honestly, I do want to watch this. I think it's the worst idea in the world of cinema for James Cameron to go out there and develop 5 sequels to this very successful movie that has been one of the best movies in the box office throughout movie history. But if you ask me, I find that he was much more successful with Terminator, and knowing that the Terminator franchise has gone downhill for a very long time, I think that Cameron should have put more focus on the Terminator franchise and just left Avatar alone. So I'm really crossing my fingers that Avatar 2 would be worth the wait and a great, excellent time in the theater, just as much as it was with the first movie. A lot of movies have been held up for a good a long while. This one has been waited for ever since 2018, and now that we're approaching 2022, this is actually coming towards the ending of 2022, which is going to be The Flash, Ezra Miller's solo flick. Finally, we're getting it, and not only that, we're also getting so many other new and memorable characters into this movie, including Michael Keaton's the original Batman from the Tim Burton movies. I cannot wait to see that. It gets me so excited getting to seeing how much this Flash movie is going to bring back the DCEU to a very high stake, just as much as what Wonder Woman did. I cannot wait to see it. I hope that it's going to be an exciting flick. I really do hope so, which is why it is on my list. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. We got to see Doctor Strange recently in Spider-Man No Way Home, and now with those occurring events, recovering from what we have just witnessed, is now in this film coming out in May 6th. I'm so excited for this. I didn't like the first Doctor Strange movie, but I have admired the character throughout all of the other films since then. And here we are, finally getting a sequel directed by Sam Raimi, the original director of the first 3 Spider-Man flicks. So I'm really excited to getting to seeing this, what the multiverse truly does have in stake for us when it comes to the MCU. I cannot wait to see what they're going to be doing. How is this going to affect our Marvel universe as it is today? So I'm really excited for it. I'm really crossing my fingers for this. Let it be an awesome flick. Not only that, within the trailer that was released, we're possibly even getting the what if Doctor Strange, the evil Doctor Strange. So really excited for it. I cannot wait. Woo! Now let's go and jump off to the next one. So not only is this movie going to get me excited, but everybody else excited for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. So not only does this movie get me so excited, not just because of the recent passing of Chadwick Boseman, which I mean was a terrific actor. He did his very best. He really brought Black Panther, the true aspect of the character and the story and the scenery of what he's all about from the comic books onto the big screen. It's really hard to pull it off and finding out who will be the next Black Panther, because T'Challa's not going to be recasted, so it's going to lower itself to another new character. Who will it be? I have no idea, but it seems as though it's going to be reflecting not just one in particular character, but the entire Wakanda country as it shows, and I believe that that's what the entitlement is for this sequel to the Black Panther movie. So I'm really excited for it. I cannot wait, which is why it is on my list. This is so exciting to watch because I am really a huge Toy Story fan, and I loved all 4 of the movies. Which is really bragging me to say that Lightyear is a really cool new addition to the Toy Story era. It's just so phenomenal knowing that it's not even going to be returning Tim Allen, but Chris Evans, Captain America himself, voicing over the Lightyear character. And this is a live adaptation to the very reasoning why Buzz Lightyear even exists as a toy action figure. So this is the movie in the Pixar world that is finally being brought to us in the silver screen, seeing how awesome is it for a Buzz Lightyear to exist, and for why it is the coolest action figure out there in the Pixar world. So I cannot wait to see it. It's going to be a really cool Pixar film in the theaters. Awesome big screen. So let's jump on to the next one. Jordan Peele has been a successful director, directing his last two films, Get Out and Us. Now here we are getting Nope. What does the entitlement mean? Have no idea. What does the poster mean? By this huge cloud over a small town with a carnival flag hanging out of it, almost close to what Back to the Future Part 2 did? Have no idea, but I'm interested. It's really interesting, and I trust Jordan Peele. So far, he's been successful with all of his films, and now I'm really intrigued getting to finding out, what does this movie mean? What is it all about? No idea, but like I said, so excited for it. Cannot wait, which is why it is on my top 5 list. Now let's go on to the next one here, guys. I am really excited about, because I had a great time with the original Jurassic Park trilogy. Then we got Jurassic World, and then Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I enjoyed all of these movies, and now here we are, Jurassic World Dominion. This movie was supposed to come out last year, but of course, because of pandemic issues and rescheduling of movies, it's finally coming out. And this one's going to be very interesting. Why? Because there is no longer dinosaurs on an island. They are all over the world now, sharing the world along with human beings in modern times. And not only that as well too, we are also getting Sam Neill coming back, Laura Dern, we're getting Jeff Goldblum back, and along with our Jurassic World cast coming back, Bryce Dallas Howard, Chris Pratt. Just cannot wait. This is so exciting. I cannot wait to see this. They're saying that this is the endgame version of Jurassic World. I cannot wait. This is going to be so awesome. What a wonderful way to conclude this Jurassic series of movies. I've been watching them since I was a child, and I'm so excited getting to still see them, feeling like a child all over again. So that's why it is on my list. Following these movies ever since the beginning, and I'm a huge Tom Cruise fan, except for 2017's Mummy. That was just a complete waste of garbage. But anyways, Mission Impossible 7, there's still no entitlement for it just yet, but knowing that it is coming out this year and being filmed back-to-back with Mission Impossible 8 coming out next year, which is 2023. I can't wait. These are going to be the final two. Tom Cruise is getting older. He has to retire eventually. These movies have to come to a close. So I'm really excited to getting to seeing him in his final stunt performing action sequences in these last two Mission Impossible films. But Mission Impossible 7 is one of my top anticipated movies coming out this year. I'm so excited. I cannot wait for the marketing developments of this movie, getting just as excited as I felt with all the other Mission Impossible films. So exciting. Cannot wait, which is why it's on the list. Now on to the next one. I bet you guys thought that this was going to be number one. Believe me, I wish it would be too, but number one is a lot more exciting for me. But because y'all feel and know that I am a true Batman fan, it is going to hit at number 2. The Batman. Director Matt Reeves, starring Robert Pattinson. You got the Riddler, you got Catwoman, you got Penguin in it. I mean, and there's probably going to be a whole mess full of other characters and Easter eggs going to be popping up in this. Even though it's not going to be part of the DCEU, which I really do wish it would be. But from the beginning, it was going to. But because everything had to be changed around, now it is its own story away from the DCEU. Did we necessarily need another one like that? We already had the Dark Knight trilogy. But I can never say that I am never excited for another Batman movie. I'm always excited for it. Give me any single kind of Batman that you can throw out there. Even Batman and Robin I loved so much. I mean, you can hate me for saying that, but I had a fun time with it. But anyways, The Batman. So excited for it. It's actually coming out in a few months in March. I'm so excited for it. I cannot wait. Batman, baby. So that was my number 2. And now here we are going to be talking about number 1. Yes, of course it's going to be at my number 1. Halloween Ends. I was so excited about Halloween Kills. It was supposed to come out in 2020, but it didn't come out because of pandemic issues, and we had to wait a whole other year for it to come out, and it did come out, and I was so excited, and I loved the movie so much that I just wanted to see what happens next, which will be coming out this Halloween on October 14th. I cannot wait. It's going to be such an exciting experience seeing on how this world of Michael Myers and the Halloween series comes to a close. Of course, it's never going to come to a close. There's always going to be other Halloween adaptations, and because it's such a popular property that they cannot just go off and ignore this. Eventually, it will be rebooted into something else, whatever that they can possibly think of, to making the Halloween movies just as great as what they are today. So, which is why I say Halloween Ends is my most biggest anticipated movie. So excited for it of 2022. Now that we went ahead and talked about my worst movies of 2021, and now that we talked about the and most anticipated and exciting movies of 2022, here we are. We're going to talk about the most awesome movies of 2021. The top 10 movies that I felt like were so amazing, so incredible throughout this entire year. Let's go ahead and talk about them now. Before I go ahead and talk about these top 10 movies, I want to go ahead and talk about an honorable mention that I know definitely for sure should have been on the list, but because it did not premiere at my theater, I never got the chance to watch it. But because I was such a big fan and loving the original West Side Story, directed by Steven Spielberg, it never came to my theater. I was so excited for it. It didn't show up, and I never got to watch it. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to watch it once it comes out on DVD. And by then, once I do watch it, I'll go ahead and do a review off of it. But there's been a familiar habit going on every single year when I do these top 10 lists throughout the entire year, is that there's always one film in December that I do not watch or do review, and it doesn't pop up on my list. But then later on, I watch it and I just love it so much that I just regret it not putting it on my list. So, which is why I put it on my honorable mentions before I start off the top 10, which is West Side Story. I cannot wait to watch it. I hope that you guys watched it. If you guys loved it, let me know, so that way I can get even more. I'm already excited for it as it is. So when it comes out, that's the first thing I'm going to be doing, is watching it, and then after that, doing a review for you guys. But it's my honorable mention, West Side Story. Now let's start off with the top 10. This one I didn't even watch in theaters either, but Cruella. I saw it on Disney Plus, and I gave it a shot, and she loved it. It being a Cruella movie, for myself, I wouldn't find it to being a great origin story of the villainous character, but it was a really great origin story. I really did like it, and I love how everything pieced together. I love the soundtrack. I love the way that Emma Stone, the way that she acts, the way that she brings the character of Cruella to life. I really do love Glenn Close's Cruella. She's my top favorite. But I really do love on what she does, making it her own character, not trying to reflect off of what Glenn Close did, but she makes it her own, and I really do find that she does succeed. A great, brilliant actress, a phenomenal film, and I had a great time watching it. Something that I would really love to continuously watch several times while it's on Disney Plus. Personally, I really didn't have a problem with the first film, but this one, having it being a rebooted version and directed by the same man who gave us really successful MCU films of the Guardians of the Galaxy. But here we go, the Suicide Squad. It's a new branded list of characters, new actors coming in, new crew members. You know, it's really something away from what the first film was, and this one actually really does hit my list. You know, we do get some returning cast members, and you know, and it's even rated R, and it's not something that they overuse with the rated R bits. You know, foul language, blood and gore violence, things like that. It's not really overused. It's actually a good amount, and it never really annoyed me. I was never overwhelmed. I actually enjoyed the film through and through. There were a lot of surprises in this movie, a lot of lovable characters as well too, and great memorable events. So, which is why it hits my list. Quiet Place Part 2. Not as great as the first movie. I loved the first movie. I was so excited about Part 2. It was supposed to come out last year, and it was the first one right before, right when the pandemic hit, and they had to cancel it an entire year. But yet we got to watch it this year. It was actually the first movie I watched going back to the theater. It was a great, awesome time. I had a great time with this movie. I cannot wait to see what Part 3 has in store for us. Even though John Krasinski is not going to be coming back into directing it, but I'm pretty sure he'll come back starring it in a flashback or in some way or form that he will be still a part of this project, but definitely for sure he won't be directing. But I'm really excited about what Part 3 is going to bring to us whenever that's going to happen. But Part 2 was great, and it's part of my list. What a way to conclude the Daniel Craig set of James Bond 007 movies. No Time to Die. Another movie that was long awaited for, and it was here. I watched it. It was amazing. Fantastic. Casino Royale is actually my most favorite, along with The World's Not Enough, which is my first 007 movie. And this one was great. I watched it with my aunt. She's a huge James Bond fan. She loves watching the movies, and we both had a great time watching this movie. It was a great ending to the Daniel Craig character. I'm really excited to get into seeing who they're going to be casting up next to playing the legendary 007 in whenever the next movie will happen. But having to closing the Daniel Craig brilliant performances of all 5 of his movies, you know, it's just a great, memorable time and a great way to end the character. I love this movie so great, which is why it's part of my list. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, a movie I thought that I would not like at all because I had no idea who this character was, who this so-called superhero was. Never read the comic books, nor have I even read any comic books of our MCU superheroes, but I was a little familiar from them. But Shang-Chi, definitely for sure, I will admit, had no idea who he was, but yet the movie was such a success. I had so much fun with this. The comedy in it was great. The action of it was great. The humor, the developments, everything about it was just so phenomenal. I had a great, excellent time. What a great new addition to the MCU world and part of the Avengers team up. I mean, even those mid and end credit scenes were just amazing. So, which is why it hits my list. I really don't find anything so negative, nothing negative about the film. There are some things about it that I could talk about, but there's a lot of great things about the movie, which is why it is on my list. An even better version of what the Matrix Resurrection should have been, which is Free Guy. I mean, come on, you guys. Ryan Reynolds can do it all. I mean, he's pretty much just Deadpool, just not Deadpool in this movie. But I really do love his sarcastic humor, the way how he acts, the way that how he portrays himself throughout this entire movie. And, you know, it's not just reflecting just towards him being the main character. It goes from both worlds, from this digital video game world to the real life world. And, you know, Taika Waititi in this movie, he's just so phenomenal. He's just so funny. Even though that his character is so cartoonistic, it's still funny to this day. And I just had a great time with this movie. As soon as I walked out of the theater after watching it, I already told myself, this movie is definitely hitting the top 10 list, and it did, and I'm so happy for it. I hope it's not anything that they could extend it with a sequel. I think it's a great, brilliant movie on its own. I don't know, I just had a great fun, which is why it's on my list. Godzilla vs. Kong. A long-awaited movie that a lot of people were very excited for. It did hit HBO Max. It did go out into theaters. It was a test trying to figure out as if people were ready to go out to the movie theaters to watch. But I feel like a lot of people did go and watch it on HBO Max more, and it was a great time. I think that it would have been much more of a better experience watching it in theaters, because you're watching two gigantic, enormous, monstrous creatures, legendary creatures, clashing against each other, and it would have been a better experience to watch on the big screen. I mean, we have big screen TVs now, and it's great watching them at home, but I think that it would have been better the way it should have been on the big silver screen. But it was a great, awesome movie, which is why it hits my list. Zack Snyder's Justice League. Throw away the 2017 version. That is just plain garbage. I will admit it to this day. I remember watching that one in theaters and how so badly I hated it. I hated it so much. It really put me in a bummed out mood. I remember that video that I recorded. I was not at all happy. I was not at all excited. I was very anticipated for it. The marketing for it was just amazing. And it really just bummed me out. But when it came to Zack Snyder's Justice League out on HBO Max, when it was announced that the Snyder Cut was real, it was out there, and it was coming to us, it was just the greatest thing ever. And knowing that it was 4 hours long, I mean, there's a lot of slow motion that's going on, which is Zack Snyder's thing, of course. But it took up the majority of the film, which is why it extended itself to 4 hours. But there's a lot of new additional stuff in this movie that makes the DCEU so much more exciting and so much more fun and just action jam-packed. The way that the film should have been back in 2017, and yet here we go, we have it, and we don't even know if it will be a continuational story, because as we all know, there really is nothing planned for it just yet, and I want there to be. I want to see this thing to follow through. I want it to extend and give us more. That's what this movie brought to us, which is why it is on my list. I know, you guys thought it would hit number one. Believe me, I would have thought so too, but there's another movie that I really was very overly fond of that hit number one much more than I felt about this one. Spider-Man No Way Home is at my number two, guys. I mean, I'm sorry, but there it is. I really did enjoy this movie so much, so excited. I mean, you cannot believe it. I saw this movie twice on opening day. It was that good, everybody. I've never really done that with any other movie before, but this one was the one. There was a lot of things that we asked for and was really hoping for to happen, and the majority of it did actually happen, and it was an exciting moment. I could not believe what we were experiencing and that it was actually happening. So great, exciting time. I had a lot of fun with this, and I know everyone else out there did too. And I know that this movie does hit everybody's top 10 list. It's top 5, not even top 3 lists. It's definitely in there for everybody who's a movie fanatic. About this one. I mean, it just recently came out, but it's still going to be a movie that does change the world of cinema, giving those people out there who make these movies an idea and knowing what the audiences are looking for and wanting so desperately, which is why it hits the list. Now, finally, at number one, we've talked about so many movies, and it's led to this one. I know a lot of people will not be excited for it because there was a lot of mixed reviews about this in particular movie. But for me, alone, personally, Halloween Kills is actually my number one most favorite, most awesome movie of 2021. It is a movie that I have been waiting for for 12 months. We're actually almost 24 months because it's just because of the dang pandemic out there. But we got it finally. I was so excited for this. So excited that I went ahead and did my own personal sweepstakes. And there have been so many winners out there. It was just such an exciting time. So much fun, everyone. Which is why it reaches my number one of awesome, the number one awesome movie of 2021. There you go, everybody. Those are my top 10 lists of 2021 and my anticipated list of 2022. What did you guys think? Do you guys have a top 10 list? If you do, leave it down in the comment section on the bottom. If you have any questions, comments, complaints, or concerns, please feel free to leave it down in the comment section on the bottom. And let's have an awesome time talking about all these movies or any movies that you like to talk about in general, because I love to talk about them, but most importantly, I love to talk about them with you. And don't forget that you can check out some more of my videos on Facebook and on YouTube. Just look me up at Awesome Joe Movie Reviews. Don't forget to click on that like and subscribe button there, everybody. I really do appreciate everybody's support on my channel. It is a huge personal hobby of mine, and I love to share it amongst all of you wonderful viewers out there. So once more again, everyone, Happy New Year's, and I'll see you guys next year. I'm Awesome Joe. Keep on living the dream, and as always, stay awesome. Thanks you guys once more again, and I'll see everyone in the next video. Bye.